We have to talk about Balogun because Twitter has been a buzz. So the sequence of events the last few days, Folarin Balogun, he was left out of the England senior squad for the Euro 2024 qualifiers, which we're going to talk about in our next segment. He was called up for England's under-21 squad. He dropped out of that roster with a quote-unquote injury, which was suspicious because his club team, Hans, has not announced any sort of injury in the last few days. And so everybody put two and two together and thought, well, does that mean he's finally ready to commit to the U.S.? And amidst all this speculation, it turns out he might be in Orlando, which is the site of the U.S.'s second game in this window against El Salvador. He was apparently seen, and here's image of it here if you're watching us rather than listening. He was apparently seen outside this Pups Pub or whatever it's called. It's some restaurant in Orlando where you're allowed to bring your dog. And so if he's in Orlando, then I think there's going to be a lot of fire here.
Yeah, it's a great place, by the way. You go there to chase tail. So look, this is fun. This is interesting. I mean, they're tracking his movements and they're tracking all of his social media and putting two and two together. This is wonderful. For those that maybe don't know, real refresher course on Folarin Balogun, right? 21 years old.
Yeah.
21 years old, and he was born in Brooklyn, which is why he is able to play for the United States national team. He has a U.S. passport. And then his parents, when he was very young, went back to England. They are from Nigeria originally, and he immediately started playing and showed incredible promise, was in the Arsenal youth setup, and is still now property of Arsenal, has been loaned out to these teams. But he played under 17s for England. He was involved in the U.S. under 18 team years back. Then England under 18, England under 20, and England 21. I mean, it goes without saying that this was somebody that they had high hopes for when it comes to England, but they also have many of these types of players. From our perspective, this is a young player who is playing over in Europe. He's been loaned out a couple of times, and this is his second loan to. It starts with an R, but I know you just pronounced it completely differently. But how is it?
Hans.
Jeez. All right, Hans, and it's spelled R-E-I-M-S, but. He's playing on loan at Homs, and he's scoring into the teens now in terms of goals. So this is a young goal scorer with a very good pedigree when it comes to Arsenal, and obviously has a U.S. passport, and is a dual national. And so we're in this moment of wooing. We are in the wooing phase. We are in the recruitment phase. And this is nothing new, to be quite honest, when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. This is something that has been implemented over the years where you say, look, it's like a recruiting trip. You come in, get to know us, see what it's like being around the guys, see the game. You don't have to train. You don't have to be on the field. You don't have to make a decision, but at least you get the lay of the land and understand what a camp looks like and understand who these players are. And that's great because I want, whether it's him or anybody else that has to make this decision, I want them to be comfortable and confident that they are making the decision because this is a place that they want to be. Not just because it provides them with opportunity on the soccer field, but it's a place where they feel they can be their best. And like I said, they feel comfortable. And you don't get that from afar. You need to know and you need to go in. And there will be, like in any recruitment type of situation, a desire to make him comfortable, like I said, and to have a good time. And so this is, I think, par for the course. And while U.S. Soccer hasn't officially and publicly said anything, there are enough pictures and there's enough evidence to support that this is what's being done. And you hope, from our perspective, that it is enough to woo him to the American side, but it goes back to what we talked about in previous pods, where I only want to go so far, and I do want you to meet us halfway and say, not only have you laid out a wonderful opportunity for me, but even if things are equal, I want to go with you because I feel something. Because if you do not ultimately feel something in your heart of hearts that is hopefully, from my perspective, red, white, and blue, then I think you become a mercenary. And I think that will manifest itself in your performance. And so this is good news. This is good news for the U.S. And again, it's more of a feather in that cap for the Berhalter era and what they have cultivated and done, and Brian McBride and Ernie Stewart. And even though none of them are there, this is still a lasting effect of, how to recruit, to make sure that you're in contact, and then ultimately to be able to seal the deal. And maybe this trip is the one that he says, I had a blast and it was so wonderful and I wanted to get out there on the field and this is where I want to be going forward. And from a practical perspective, to your point, he plays a position of need for the U.S.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.